Oh, ew, hey, how you doing? Forgot I was doing a video today. Welcome back to Chris Ranks. Let me just put this X down here. Shambles all around, which is accurate for today's episode. My name is Chris France. Thanks for coming back. Please subscribe to the channel, like the videos. Today I'll be ranking the albums of The Replacements. What can be said about The Replacements that hasn't been said already? Legendary quartet from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Pretty much set the tone for everything that came after them. The alternative rock grunge boom of the early 90s. Very similar to their crosstown rivals Husker Du. The band was founded in 1979 in Minneapolis. Legend has it, and there are a lot of legends about this band. Some of them so good they almost can't be true, but because it's The Replacements, they probably are. That Paul Westerberg was walking by a garage in his neighborhood, heard a band rehearsing, but they already had a singer-songwriter. He pulled the singer-songwriter aside and said, "Hey, those guys are going to kick you out." The guy got pissed, quit the band. Paul shows up, "Hey guys, I sing and play guitar," and the rest is history. And yeah, it would be great if I had someone to discuss these albums at gratuitous length with right now. Oh, hey Mikey, what's up, man? How you doing, buddy?
Doing good.
Hey, doing good. And thanks for coming back, man. Talking about The Replacements, one of the most legendary and influential bands of all time. Before we get started, just a few things I'd like to say about them. One of my favorite things about The Replacements is the way I discovered them and showing them to someone and introducing them to someone who's never heard of them and seeing how much they love them. And I just want to show you guys this real quick. Good friend of mine, Danielle, I showed her this band and she painted this for me.
Really cool.
Yeah, it's the cover of the legendary Let It Be. She did it in excruciatingly awesome detail. It's prominently displayed in my house. Right now it's behind the couch for purposes of the video. But yeah, everyone who comes to my house says something about it. So thank you, Danielle. It'll always be in my house. Love that. Another thing I want to bring up is The Replacements live at Maxwell's. Live album released about 4 or 5 years ago. Lots of great tracks from most of their career. This came out right after Tim was released. It was recorded at Maxwell's in Hoboken, New Jersey. Some cool pictures in here. It just gives you an idea of these fucking wild animals. But yeah, the person who gave it to me, we were listening to it, and The Replacements, they sound good, but they're a little saucy. And you know, the recording quality is not great. She's like, "Is it the record broken? Is it supposed to sound like this?" I was like, "Yes, that's how it's supposed to sound." Definitely check it out.
Color Me Obsessed documentary. This is from the perspective of mainly like fans and like people that are close to the band. Very, very cool stuff. Same goes with The Replacements All Over But the Shouting. This is really cool because it's almost like chronological. You're getting snippets from like interviews and statements made by the band and also people close to the band and fans and all that stuff as well. And of course I don't have it on hand, but like I always love the recording of The Shit Hits the Fans.
There'll be a picture of it right here.
Yes. It's god awful. It's The Replacements at their worst. And it's
and 5 songs are like real, like they'll play 16 Blue and it sounds
Yes.
amazing, and then it's like a fucking horrible Stones cover.
Yes.
Or Fox on the Run or something.
and they won't even get the whole way through. It's a complete shit show and I love it.
One of my honorable mentions for Replacements related stuff. Obviously, I'm a big Tommy Stinson fan. I mean, enough's been said about him though. He really carries on the spirit of The Replacements and does his own thing. All of his solo albums are great. Met him a couple years ago. Opening for the Psychedelic Furs. He was giving money to a homeless guy outside Baltimore Soundstage. Here's a picture of us right here. Ignore my double chin. Also saw him acoustic at Monument City Brewery, and it was him and his ex-brother-in-law. They have a project called Campfires and Cowboys and Campfires, and they're outstanding. But anyway, so enough's been said about Tommy. He's been very successful. I want to bring to light Chris Mars, The Replacements drummer's his solo album, Horseshoes and Hand Grenades.
I know for a fact that Chris Mars like does that artwork.
Absolutely.
And he's like super, super talented.
Yeah, and to give people a closer look, this is like some of the stuff he does.
Really, really abstract stuff.
I listened to it like a handful of times. It's very catchy, and all the songs really stuck with me, especially Popular Creeps is really good, Egomaniac, Monkey Sees, Don't You See It, and then, you know, of course, he was the drummer in The Replacements, but he plays every instrument on the album. Dan Murphy and Dave Perner of Soul Asylum contribute some stuff. And yeah, it's just really memorable, really catchy. Some of these songs seem to be a little bitterness, like Monkey See. That sounds like some like little in-band bitterness. Definitely check out Chris Mars though, Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. Good stuff and really catchy. Cool. So you're my guest, Mikey. We're gonna rank the Replacements album, and they have 8, including their EP Stink, which, like we do with the Husker Du, is very important. So we'll count that. So yeah, what is the least awesome Replacement album?
Oh, definitely All Shook Down.
Ooh, okay.
100%. Just because, like, I mean, when you watch documentaries and stuff, it's pretty obvious that, and read things, that it's pretty obvious it's almost like a Paul Westerberg solo album. It should have been a Paul Westerberg solo album. Like, you know, it has like this weird somber tone to it that I don't, you know, really fully embrace. But I do love songs like, you know, like One Wink at a Time. Someone Take the Wheel.
I like that one.
What a sad song. My Little Problem.
Oh, wow.
Happy Hour.
Yeah.
And of course, Merry-Go-Round.
Yeah.
Merry-Go-Round's pretty much like the quintessential of that album.
Yeah. Cool. I'm glad you said that. You named some ones that surprised me. That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Like I'll say to many of my ex-girlfriends, I'm sorry you feel that way. But yeah. My number 8. This is gonna piss a lot of people off.
No!
It's Hootenanny.
Hootenanny!
This album is a shit show from beginning to end.
That's why I love it.
And it's almost like not an endearing shit show to me. Like, look, don't get me wrong. It has a Run It on it, which is about Paul and Chris Mars outrunning the cops drunk on motorcycles. Real rock and roll shit. Color Me Impressed. Makes fun of all the pretentious assholes. Willpower kind of reminds me of Joy Division. Cool bass line, weird, kind of shoegazy almost.
Yes.
So, you know, as I'm saying this, I'm noticing things that they're very influential. But then it's got stuff like Mr. Whirly, I don't care about. Buck Hill is like about sledding in their town, and like it's like makes it sound like a surf song. There's lots of clever stuff. Love Lines are reading the classified ads. But I will say, you know, the last 3 songs, You Lose is heavy, Rave Up, Heyday is incredible, Treatment Bound is great, and this is when they start showing their maturity within your reach. But honestly, I don't go back to this one that much, and the last thing I'll say about it, because I'm trying to keep this under half hour, we're gonna fail at that, but whatever, is this is the Replacement's earliest thing of being like, haha, fuck you, we're alternative. The song Hootenanny, on the back of the LP, I just want to show you this, up top here, is this big long blurb, and this is the funniest joke of the album. I don't know, have you seen this? Hootenanny is to folk music as what a jam session is to jazz, a gathering of all sorts of people, performers, amateur singers, sing-along, blah, blah, blah. It's just big, long blurb about, wow, Hootenanny is a form of art. If you know the song Hootenanny, it's the whole band. First of all, it's the first song on the album, the first single. It's the band, they all trade instruments, and it sounds like a bunch of 12-year-olds who did whippets and tried to like sing hilarious 12-bar blues.
Instruments too.
Oh yeah, it's fucking terrible, but it's also funny, and it's also kind of like a mission statement for them, like, fuck you, we're not going to give you exactly what you want.
Exactly.
It's also the last song they ever played on their last show in Chicago in 1991. But look, again, like we did with the Husker Du one, obviously there's more stuff on here worth checking out, but Hootenanny, to me personally, just doesn't do it for me. There's plenty of other things I'd rather listen to.
And a very close second to last for me is Don't Tell a Soul. And you know, I like that album too, but it's like, you know, I tend to gravitate towards the Bob Stinson stuff. I think it was a huge mistake to kick him out of the band. Yeah. You know, Slim Dunlap, you know, he does a good job. You know, an honorable job. But I think he barely, you know, appeared on any of the albums, like, during his tenure, which is kind of a shame.
Now that you bring that up, you know, yeah, it doesn't feel that way.
No, it feels like
he brought the real rockabilly kind of vibe, and there isn't a lot of that on Don't Tell a Soul.
Exactly. I mean, I love, like, We'll Inherit the Earth. I really love
that song.
Aching to Be, and Rock and Roll Ghost, I think, is incredibly underrated. And it's just, you know, I'll Be You, of course. Even though, like, I won't lie, that's probably one I'm a little bit sick of. But anywho.
That's fair. So, yeah, my number 7, there's only 8 of them, I shouldn't have to pick this up. My number 7 choice is Stink. And it's over Hootenanny because it's growth for the band. And like I said with like my Van Halen video or my Husker Du one, some albums are higher than other ones just because the songs are more interesting. Stink has White and Lazy, which I used to play at this like kind of redneck bar. When people hear that intro with the harmonica and the blues, you hear that and be like, yeah, brother. And then it just pops into that hardcore, why?
Yes.
Kids don't follow. Another thing, the legend, the folklore, the Replacements, starts off with this sound bite, and I'm just imagining actors in the studio doing this. They swear it's real, but it's just this Midwestern, like, I'm assuming 400-pound cop, like, okay, time to shut the party down, being all nice. And then someone screams, fuck you, and apparently it's Dave Pirner of Soul Asylum.
Yep.
Like, that's probably true, you know? But anyway, that song rocked. Fuck school, you know? Tommy Stinson apparently, his parents signed a permission slip saying, oh, you can drop out of school to tour with this band because your older stepbrother Bob will keep you out of trouble. Well, I guess he kind of did. Go has a cool, like, slow winding bass line, real emotive lyrics.
Stuck in the Middle. I mean, it's pretty much like it's 8 songs. Stuck in the Middle. Gimme Noise is a really good
Gimme
one.
Noise is fun.
I love the end of Gimme Noise.
Yeah.
We might as well just talk about this at the same time because that's my number 6 too.
Go for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, you know, again, it's just like kind of a mini album, and it's really good. It's just, you know, it's really raw. You can tell it was done very hastily. Because I think they did it in like literally like I think they recorded it in one day, mixed it the next.
They hand stamped the title on all the albums individually
with potatoes. They stenciled in fucking potatoes. I think that's hilarious.
That's classic.
But yes, goddamn job. White and Lazy is probably one of my favorite ones.
The song just rips so hard, you know. And it's so funny. We were talking about like the Husker Du. Like it's funny because that came around Zen Arcade era. Like how that album punches you in the face so hard, but then their later like major label releases don't hit that hard.
Exactly.
How funny is that, right? My number 6, I switch these around a lot, is actually Don't Tell a Soul. And like you said, I would love to put that one higher, but you can tell it's kind of like they were trying, but they were trying to act like they weren't trying too hard, but they were. But it's still them, so it's still brilliant. Aching to Be is fantastic. Will and Harry Theoris, amazing song. I do like Rock and Roll Ghost. You remind me of that one. They're Blind. I think Paul, that's one of the ones he could have written for like a country artist or something, but he kept for himself. And then, you know, it's got the rave ups on it. It's got I Won't. That sounds like a polished punch you in the face. Like, put that song on and try not to destroy your fucking living room. And they were a total shit show when they were making it, like, again, with their like self-sabotaging behavior. Apparently Andy Wallace was like, come on guys, let's record, and they just like, you know, drew on him with markers, you know what I mean?
Well, that was
like,
Matt Wallace.
Oh, Matt Wallace, excuse me, yeah.
As a matter of fact, Matt Wallace, I always found it funny that they used Matt Wallace because Matt Wallace primarily was the producer for Faith No More.
Did he? I thought he did REM too, right?
I think he might have done REM at some point.
Yeah.
But Scott Litt did REM.
Okay, so Scott Litt
was the guy who did All Shook Down.
Scott Litt's the one. Did he work on Don't Tell a Soul?
He worked on All Shook Down.
Okay, all right.
And Matt Wallace did Don't Tell a Soul.
They both get blamed for making the Replacements soft.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Replacements chose them.
That's what Westerberg wanted.
Exactly. There's stories about them throwing the master tapes into the river and just all kinds of crazy shit. There's also the whole thing about they opened for Tom Petty on his Free Fallin'
and pissed him off.
Full Moon Fever '89 tour, and you know, Tom Petty stole the line "A Rebel Without a Clue" from them, and they had to open for him, and all their fans got to sit like 37 rows back while all the corporate people were up front for Petty. And I don't get me wrong, I love Petty, but you know, that's the dichotomy of you know, Petty was obviously a big influence on Paul. But I love Don't Tell a Soul. It's too melancholy though, and if they had more rave up heavy songs, it would have sounded like they were trying too hard. So as an album, it flows. But yeah, there's just other stuff that's way better.
Yeah. And for my number 5 is Pleased to Meet Me. Pleased to Meet Me. Produced by the awesome Jim Dickinson. Alex Chilton. You can tell there's a huge, like, big star influence on this album. Alex Chilton shooting Dirty Pool, which was supposedly like an insult to the promoter of City Gardens, supposedly.
Elaborate on that, would you? I don't know.
Like, I forgot like what they did. Like, I think they played like a shitty show at City Gardens, and
they tried to like
the promoter on the radio like called them out and was saying, you know, these people didn't get their money's worth, yada yada yada. So Paul Westerberg was like, oh, okay. and wrote a song about this guy.
Interesting.
Actually, one of my favorite songs on here is Nightclub Tutors.
That's a good one, yeah.
I really, really love the swing, waltzy kind of vibe, you know, smoking cigarettes in a lounge kind of feel to that song. And a song I've heard a billion times, but still love it to death is Can't Hardly Wait. I love it to death.
Absolutely.
Love it to death.
My next one is their first one. Yeah, Sorry Ma, I forgot to take out the trash. Like I said before, like with Hootenanny and Stink, the reason they were so low is that they have cool songs on them. And it's ironic because this is their first album, but I just go back to this one a lot. And it has so many songs that I can just pop on while I'm driving, while I'm cleaning the house. I know it sounds lame or whatever, but like, you know, Taking a Ride rocks. Customer, I'm in love with a girl who works at a store. And he's just naming random shit to buy and have an excuse to talk to some girl. I mean, what guy hasn't done something like that? Beautiful. Hanging Downtown, I love. Kick Your Door Down, I love. Johnny's Gonna Die. They have a live version they call it Johnny Fast, which is the heavy. That's about Johnny Thunders, and it's kind of prophetic with the way Bob Stinson lived his life, which is unfortunate. Shiftless When Idle is great. Don't Ask Why, something to do with their little like Husker Du riff, and he has the hilarious like down, it sounds like Husker Du riff. You're in Love and I'm in Trouble, you know. 18 songs on this big boy, but it's got a mad consistency, and it's ironic because I feel like they really knew who they wanted to be with their first album, and I wish I could have rated it higher, but I remember there's a pivotal point because I always read about the Replacements. Growing up with the early internet, I go to All Music. Read about my favorite bands, who do they like, who influenced them. I learned about the Replacements. I remember, I would never forget, it was 1999. I had a gift card at Best Buy. And I had enough to buy 3 CDs. I bought Red Hot Chili Peppers' Californication, the band Orange 9mm, who, no offense to them, and I forgot who I bought over the Replacements, but I had this in my hand, and I was like, But the fateful day where I really understood who the Replacements were came almost exactly a year later. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, this is a great debut album. And I think it's really prophetic that Tommy and Paul are the ones in the front. Anchors of that band. Yeah, good debut album. A lot of killer, very little filler in my humble opinion. And I wish I could put it higher, but there's other stuff I love more.
My number 4 is Tim. The thing that Tim suffers from, it was produced by Tommy Ramone, but the thing that suffers from is that like it's just such a dated production. It really is.
Oh yeah, they have the same Husker Du problems.
Exactly.
You know,
like I really can't stand Chris Mars's drum sound on this album. It just sounds like complete airy crap. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like the songs on this album are amazing. It's really the last gasp of Bob Stinson in the band. What are my favorite songs off this? I mean, I love Hold My Life.
Oh, I love that one too.
Kiss Me on the Bus, which Bob Stinson referred to as Kiss Me on the Butt. Swingin' Party. Bastards of Young, probably one of the best music videos without a band in it. Of just one shot going towards a speaker. Left of the Dial is probably in my top 3 favorite Replacement songs of all time.
Sure, that gives chills in my arm, for sure.
I won't lie, I just can't stand Here Comes a Regular just because it sounds so much like fucking, like either Poison's Every Rose Has Its Thorn to me, or Every Rose Has Its Thorn, or sounds like Knocking on Heaven's Door, the Guns version. Hi, yeah.
That's hilarious. See, I love that. This is why I love like having my friends on the show, because you bring up points I'm like, I never fucking thought of that before. You said something in the Husker Du one too. I was like, I'd never thought of that.
Yeah.
That's funny, dude. You're absolutely right. That's what the brilliance of the Replacements is. They're not like music theory guys, so they just toss a capo on
like,
there.
Here Comes the Regular could be...
They probably never even thought of that before.
Here Comes the Regular could be on like a fucking LA Guns album.
Well, my number 4 is Pleased to Meet Me. The thing is, like, you're talking about how, like, Bob Stinson, like, was out of the band by this point. Mm-hmm. So, we're about the same age. So, like, I'd probably feel differently if I was around in the 80s and I was, like, a teenager and I was like, fuck, Bob's gone. What, you need a better guitar player to be in the Replacements? Fucking sell out. I might feel differently. But the first Replacement song I ever heard was Can't Hardly Wait. And to me, it was just, like, I'd look at their career and be like, okay, this is where they, like, changed a little bit and, like... You know, so it's hard for me to like feel like really passionate about it in that respect. However, yeah, there is a big star influence. It's very much more well produced.
Mm-hmm.
But IOU is a great opener, great rave up. Alex Chilton, the riff I played earlier, I will never get tired of that song. I love that song. It's beautiful. I Don't Know is fun. Like fucking, I don't know, like hilarious replacements. I'm glad you mentioned Nightclub Tutors. That's a cool song.
Mm-hmm.
The Ledge is the only song they ever did that sounds like fucking 80s song. You know what I mean? The funny thing about The Ledge is they filmed that and MTV said, no, we won't play this because it's about suicide. And the band's like, well, that's funny. You'll play tits and ass Motley Crue videos, but we're trying to like warn people not to kill themselves. Typical MTV. Nevermind is fantastic. One of my all-time favorites of the band. Supposedly inspired Nirvana's album title. But yeah, Skyway is a great ballad. Red Wine is a lot of fun. And of course, Can't Hardly Wait. I mean, just great production. Very alternative lyrics. And HFS, that's why I'm wearing this shirt. 991 HFS. If you're from Maryland, you will remember. This is 97.5. It's this short-lived post-incarnation. But I first heard the replacements on HFS, and a lot of people have stories like that of songs that changed their life. And if you're from Maryland, comment on the day you knew that HFS died when it turned to a fucking mariachi station, and you listened to Denial for 3 weeks and it never came back. But yeah, Pleased to Meet Me, a band at the crossroads, just as the cover art shows.
Numero Trace is Sorry Ma.
I knew that'd be. I thought I'm surprised that's not number one for you.
Oh yeah, no. I think my number one is very surprising. I mean, Taking a Ride, Customer, Kick Your Door Down, I Bought a Headache.
Oh yeah, that one gets on my nerves, but it's funny.
I Love Rattlesnake. What else on here? Of course, Something to Do. I'm in Trouble is probably the best one on
I
here.
love that song.
Raised in the City is really awesome. Love You Till Friday. As a matter of fact, there's a live recording that they did on the same night as like Who's Screwed Do did back in September of '81, where it's basically like this album, pretty much like snippets of the first three that live they just sound so goddamn amazing.
Yeah.
So it's just like, but you can tell this is a band that really couldn't figure out whether they wanted to be punk rock or garage rock but I mean, the thing about this is, it's like, there's just something very roots rock and roll about this that, you know, just, there's something very, it's like Chuck Berry on speed.
There's a lot of quality, too, for 18 songs. Like, they never put out another album with 18 songs on. I mean, sure, the songs are shorter, but...
These were guys that didn't really take any value into punk rock, you know, so they were able to, like, change, you know, for better or for worse, you know, that they did silly shit to piss people off, and good for them, you know. So
they were genuine.
Exactly.
So I really wish I had this a physical copy. My number 3 is All Shook Down. The reason being is between that and I won't mention the other ones, but you can probably figure it out. I went to a yard sale or a flea market in Southern Maryland where we didn't get a lot of good radios. The replacements were not getting played on the radio stations in Southern Maryland, if you catch my drift.
Yeah.
But I went to the Mechanicsville Flea Market and I found Tim, Please Meet Me, All Shook Down. Like God or someone from above put it there, like, here, Chris, this is what you need to listen to. And All Shook Down to me is, I don't like it when, I understand when people say bands like, oh, this is like a singer solo album. It's like, well, that guy kind of controlled the band from this get-go, so like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, yeah, the other band members weren't there, but I think it's some of the best writing of Paul Westerberg's career. Merry-Go-Round's a fantastic song. Been Out of Shape, I love. Nobody. It's talking about going to like an ex-girlfriend's wedding and stuff. It's a very heartfelt, even more heartfelt than their earlier stuff albums. Somebody Take the Wheel, just about losing control over like substance abuse and like somebody help me. Happy Town, like the first, and also it's like the mood. Like I love artwork. The cover of that album with the 2 lost dogs on a rainy day, it sets the tone for the album. And like, I feel like listening to that album, it's like you're driving through like a rainy day and then Happy Town comes on and you're like, oh yeah, it's like the sun's starting to come out. And My Little Problem, that duet, forgive me, I forgot who was sings the duet with. That song rips. Torture is the only song the whole band plays together on, and it is so joyous and so happy. And then I have to mention When It Began, which is basically just an ode to like, I wish things were like they used to be, but they can't. And I don't know, have you seen the video for that?
No.
It's all these claymation characters, and Bob Stinson makes a cameo. But I love that song, and I think it's a beautiful last album for a band. Now I understand why people don't like it, but it just like I said, I wasn't a formative years when it came out, so I just had it with the other ones, and I was like, wow, this is gorgeous, and I love it so much, and I understand why people don't like it. Oh, and then the last song, The Last, kind of a spiritual sequel to Nightclub Tutors, a little jazz kind of song, but yeah, definitely listen to it. Don't expect Sorry Ma or even like Tim or Let It Be, but it's worth listening to. It's worth listening to. But you have anything else to say about that one? Because I know that's...
It's just you can tell when a band is disjointed, and and you can hear it on that album. I think that's really the only issue I really have with it.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I like those albums from bands though. I'm one of those weirdos. I like the later Black Sabbath albums and shit where they're just out of their minds. But definitely give it a listen, especially if you like Paul's like solo stuff. But yeah, that's my number 3. I'll get that tattooed on my back. And the song All Shook Down and Sadly Beautiful makes me want to fucking cry. Yes, that's the last thing I'll say about that. Some of the best lyrics Paul Westberg has ever written is the song All Shook Down. All right, sorry, I went on too long with that one.
Pass me that vinyl record over
I threw this in the trash earlier. Did you still want this? Or?
Yes, I did, because it is my number 2.
Oh yeah.
I love the ridiculousness of this album. Like, I love the total fuck you attitude of this album. Hootenanny is a total goof. Run It's really great. Color Me Impressed is probably number 1 favorite. Yeah, probably.
Take this album? Or the all time?
Probably of all time.
Whew. Yeah, all right, it's a good one. Yeah, I agree.
I would say yes. And then Unsatisfied right below that. Willpower, again, a disjointed, like, Joy Division kind of deal. I love Take Me Down to the Hospital.
That's Paul Westberg's mom's favorite song of theirs. Which is
it's such like a throwback to like 50. It's like punk rock meets like Chuck Berry. Within Your Reach, I think, is a bit dog shit.
Woo!
Buck Hill is supposedly about some shitty hill in Minneapolis. Yeah. He's like, it's just some crappy hill. Like, we don't even know where we are. I love You Lose. Treatment Bound is such like a lo-fi Johnny Cash tribute that I just love to death.
The full band version of that is so much better.
Yes.
It's on the Jackass 2 soundtrack too.
And around this time, I think they didn't wind up on the album, but there's a song called If Only You Were Lonely.
Oh, that's a good one.
Which I think it's only a demo. And I think it might be on either the Stink remasters with like the extra tracks or this one.
I can actually, it's actually called on an EP called Boink that was only released in the UK. But it also has You're Getting Married on it. Which
You're Getting Married is great too.
And that's why I love All Shook Down so much. It has songs like that.
But I love If Only You Were Lonely. Oh my god, that's a song that should have been on an album. But yeah, I just love the whole fuck off attitude about this album. I really do.
All right, we're down to the wire, and top 2 shouldn't really surprise anyone. I'm going to be real hipster and show you my cassette copy. My number 2 is Tim. Everything about this album is iconic. The album cover.
That's Let It Be.
Oh, fuck. All right, hold on. Just leave it.
You should leave it.
Just leave it. That's classic Replacements. Okay, my number 2 is Zen Arcade. No, I'm just joking. All right, my number 2 is Let It Be, which would be a lot of people's number 1. But I'll get to that in a minute. This is where the band really grew. I Will Dare has kind of a folksy swing sound. Peter Buck from REM
plays mandolin.
Yeah, pretty cool. Then they pop it back with Favorite Thing, which is like a fun punk song. We're Coming Out, just loudness. Tommy Gets His Tonsiled Out, brattiness. Androgynous, piano ballad, Paul Westerberg. Kind of like the things he would do on All Shook Down much later. But anyway, it's real subversive lyrics. And definitely with like the LGBT movement and stuff. Like this song was like 30 years ahead of its time. But just being like, hey, it's okay to be who you are, Black Diamond, a cover of a Kiss song that Gene Simmons saw and thought they were making fun of them. Which really shows you like what alternative rock is. Like, hey, we're this is what we are. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't understand what we're trying to do, fuck you.
I think they fucked up the lyrics too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Pissed them off even more.
And here's the thing: did they even know he was fucking there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That might have just been them on like a normal night.
Yeah.
But Black Diamond, hysterical. Unsatisfied, I agree. That's one of the best replacement songs of all time. Senior Video is almost an instrumental. It's got barely any lyrics, but it's their fuck you towards MTV. And then, you know, you got Gary's Got a Boner, which is like dumb rock. But 16 Blue, which is the most beautiful coming of age song. And then Answering Machine. I didn't really go too much into depth about this, but it's a very important album, and it's one of the best alternative rock albums of all time. And if you held a gun to my head, it would be in the top 10. And the artwork is so important to me, the aesthetic of the band. They were asked in an interview years later, they're like, hey, you know, grunge is popular. Like, did you guys plan that with wearing flannel? Or are you fashionistas? And they're like, no, we live in Minneapolis. It's fucking cold outside. Great album.
Oh, I'm going to need it anyhow, because that's number one.
Yeah.
Number one. Oh, my good Lord. Not one terrible song. Not one. As a matter of fact,
I'll hold my cassette up. Wouldn't give it.
There is a remastered version on here that has like some extra tracks. They do a cover of Heartbeat. It's a love beat. That's really good.
Cool. I like that.
Temptation Eyes is a really good song that they left off the album. The thing about this album is like there's such, you can tell that they're maturing, but there's so much imperfection that they don't bother to hide it. Like, I think this is the Replacements at their most honest, and maybe that's why Hootenanny was number 2, because it was at their most honest, because they're truly a fuck you band. You know, they're not gonna, you know, they didn't go by the rules. They didn't care about, you know, I think they cared about commercial success to an extent, but they're gonna do it their way. And, you know, again, like, you know, I Will Dare, you know, I love that song to death. Man, I can't, what can I say about these songs? Like, We're Coming Out, I think is probably like the prequel to Nightclub Tutors. Androgynous is amazing.
I like how We're Coming Out speeds up a lot at the end.
Exactly.
Too. That's pretty cool.
And like with the whole, you know.
Oh shit! See again, I never thought of that. You're right. Damn, dude.
Unsatisfied and 16 Blue, both of those songs, like, on a bad day will tear at your heartstrings and make it hard to come back. You know, it really will. Senior Video is probably the weak one on here.
Cool octave riff. You know what I mean?
Senior Video. I do like that.
The only dated song on there, and it's not even really dated.
Yeah.
You know,
well, even the Answering Machine is dated because it's about an answering machine.
If it's 50 years from now, kids, you're watching this, fucking let it be, man.
And I'll tell you what, about, like,
I love that album cover. I want to go to that house.
And like you Minneapolis folks, I'm sure there's quite a debate on like which album is better between this and Mr. Husker's Zen Arcade. If you're really gonna twist my goddamn arm and threaten to cut it off, it's still gonna be this album.
I've listened to this one a lot more.
Yes.
It's tight, it's tighter, it's concise.
It's more entertaining, it's not conceptual. If it's conceptual, it's in the way it's produced, you know?
Yeah, I kind of gave it away, but my number one Replacements album is Tim. Like I said...
Tim!
Yes. Like I said, it was like a bolt of lightning. I went to this Mechanicsville flea market, and I found All Shook Down, Pleased to Meet Me, and Tim. I actually didn't get Let Be until later. But Tim, first of all, the album artwork is atrocious. The band will tell you that. It's a weird picture of Bob Stinson. Tommy Ramone, that's not his real name, I forgot what his last name is, but he produced the album. He admitted later on that he was going deaf, and he didn't realize that their amp, the cabinet they used, one of them was blown. So they had the same problems that Husker Du had with their major label stuff. Tim was their major label debut, and I'm sorry, I can't hear this. Now also, like I said, I'm a child of the 90s, so I was spoiled with these big, glossy productions of like Nirvana, Nevermind, Pearl Jam, Green Day. So like I wasn't used to hearing like a real rough, or even REM, you know what I mean? Like later era REM. I wasn't used to hearing like this rough around the edges sound. But the opening chords of Hold My Life and that song and like being like a 16-year-old, and I remember I was the day I got my driver's license, or or no, the day I went to driving school, speak of formative age. Back then there was no YouTube, so like I would read about bands I liked. They mentioned the Replacements. I'd go look for the Replacements. There was fan sites. I'd try to look up their music videos. I always heard about this legendary music video they did. So I swear to God, I look up the video for Bastards of Young, and I start laughing my fucking ass off. I'm like, first of all, that's the most ferocious guitar riff, and that is still one of my favorite songs of all time. It sums up everything you could ever to be like, hey, this is our mission statement as a band, this is who we are. And then on top of that, their Saturday Night Live performance, which again, was hard for me to find on the internet back then. Now it's all over YouTube. People were like, this got them banned from Saturday Night Live, they're in a shit show. That's like one of those badass rock and roll performances I've ever seen.
Where they got drunk with Harry Dean Stanton. Hang out and get fucked up with Harry Dean Stanton.
You party with Harry Dean Stanton. I mean, you grab the bull.
You boys go out there and do the best damn show.
Whole My Life I Love, Bastards of Young, Love to the Dial, a college rock anthem, which Paul Westbrook wrote that about, I forgot her name, but she was in another punk band he was in love with. Do you know who I'm talking about? I should have done more research.
Lori Barber, was it the chick that he was married to from Babes in Toyland?
Ooh,
Lori Barbero.
But yeah, anyway, enough about that. Here Comes a Regular always shook my soul because I used to work at like a bar kind of like that. It's got a fearful song. But yeah, the rave ups on this album aren't great. Lay It Down Clown's kind of stupid. But then it has Swingin' Party. I absolutely love Swingin' Party. I'll Buy is cool. Dose of Thunder I actually kind of like.
I do.
What am I missing? This album just, it's just a place in time for me.
Little Mascara.
Oh shit, Little Mascara. That's probably like the most sensitive. Waitress in the Sky, which was about his sister who was a flight attendant. Anyway, I love Tim, I think. Oh, and also the album, you know why it's named Tim?
Oh yeah, because there's like they watched some there's like some band that they watched in the basement, and like the singer winds up like passing out like right in front of them, and they thought it was one of the most riveting performances they ever saw, so they named their album after the dude's first name, Tim.
All right.
Like, yeah, that's me, Tim.
I'm so glad you said that because I heard that story, but I also heard that they were just like fucked up one night. They're like, "What should we name it?" And they just said Tim. What were you gonna name your baby? You know what I mean? It was like a had to be their moment. Like they thought it was so funny,
But some other anecdotes about this album is Tommy Ramone straight up said, he's like, "Look, the record company kind of forced this kind of production on me."
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And then on top of that, he loved to tell the stories about, how Bob supposedly did all of his guitar work in one day. He's like, he was good after like 2 or 3 beers, but not so good after like 5 or 6.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But anyway, Tim's my favorite. They're all great. And the Replacements are awesome. They pretty much forged the path for every alternative rock band, and they reaped very little of their rewards. And if they had reaped those rewards, we would not be talking about them right now. Any final thoughts on the Replacements?
Long live Bob Stinson.
Yeah, absolutely. Unsung hero.
One of the most underrated guitar players ever.
Yeah.
Him and Bob Mould are up there for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, they had a similar style. Bob Mould is just much more focused,
Oh, absolutely. He's much more abrasive.
That's what, and I saw them Paul and Tommy a couple years ago, and then after that they decided they're never going to tour again. So it's one of my pre-COVID things. I'm like, I'm so happy I saw that fucking show, man. And they had it. They were sick. But, yeah, the Replacements are awesome. Did you like the Pixies?
I do.
All right, let's do a thing about them next time.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching Chris Ranks. My friend Mikey McVeigh. Take it easy, guys.
Adios, amigos.